everybody, I am Khushi from grade 10C, and today I stand firmly for the motion that yes, war is a solution for geopolitical tensions. Let us start with our own epics. Lord Krishna, one of the greatest diplomats, went as a messenger himself before Kurukshetra for peace. He asked Duryodhana for just 5 villages. In return, he came back mocked and insulted. Diplomacy failed and war continued, and only through that war was justice restored. And we got one of the best governments under Pandava. So when the divine couldn't make diplomacy work, how do we ordinarily believe that we can? History only tends to repeat itself, and that is what is happening with Afghanistan. They are under the Taliban terrorist control, and I don't think one polite letter or agendas can solve their problem. Look at us. We signed treaties, shaked hands with Pakistan, and yet we suffered attacks like the 26/11 attacks, bomb attacks, which killed over 160 people. Betrayed us at Kargil. And even the superpowers know this. Donald Trump is imposing 50% tariff on Indian exports, which we get from outside, and that is declaring an economic war on India. Today we suffer not only for wars we fight on field, but also IT wars, cyber wars, data wars. Not one polite letter or not 1,000 polite letters can stop this kind of surveillance that is happening. Take Galwan of China in 2020, we had 22 rounds of talks, and yet they ended up killing 20 of our soldiers. That is what diplomacy has achieved. And let us take the burning example, the recent most example, Russia and Ukraine, 14 years of failed diplomacy, Minsk agreements, peace treaties, etc., etc. And what happened? 14 to 15,000 deaths, and then eventually war. Diplomacy might sound good on paper, but war is the bitter medicine that cures our infection. Thank you.
All wars are evil, but sometimes they're a lesson to evil. Good morning, one and all. My name is Mohana from class 10A, and I'm here to strongly support for the motion, war is a solution to geopolitical tensions. We all wish the world could solve problems by talking, but if that really was the case, we wouldn't have had the World War II nor the Kurukshetra Yudh. Sometimes some countries keep breaking promises, threatening lives, and grabbing lands. And if we keep our conversations smooth with them, they will only take advantage of our patience. At times like that, war is the only solution to restore peace. India had to fight the Kargil war, or what the Kashmirians proudly call home, for have been a part of the non-diplomatic country of Pakistan. The American Civil War was to be fought, or else slavery would have found no end, and injustice and oppression would have prevailed. Peace is always better than war, but peace only and only works when both sides respect it. There are times when diplomacy fails, life becomes threatening, agreements break, and peace fails to find a place on the table. Then, my fellow beings, war is not just an option, but the only solution. The disastrous Indo-Pakistan wars resolved long decades of humanitarian and ethnic crisis of Bangladesh. The war determined the fate of an entire nation of population 10 crores. These wars, though painful, created new orders, established new peace that lasted for some span of time. Even in the pages of history, it is inscribed that during crisis situations, war is the only solution. Lord Rama chose war only and only when Ravana left no path but battle to Dharma. The Battle of Sinhagar, World War II, and many countless wars have proven that war, though tragic, has been the only means to protect and restore peace. Refuses to bow to peace, war is the only path to justice. In this world, there is nothing greater than a righteous war, says the Bhagavad Gita, and so do I. And don't you guys also do? Thank you.
Namaste everyone. Let me begin my question. How many of us have come across short videos or donation appeals for children in Gaza? Those who need food, money, shelter, healthcare, but got to them in such a vulnerable situation that they now seek aid through likes, shares, and comments. War. I, Aditi of grade 10C CGR International School, stand firmly on my motion that war is not a solution to geopolitical tensions. It's just the most expensive way to avoid thinking. If war would solve anything, the Russia-Ukraine conflict would have been history by now. Instead, it's 3 years of constant destruction, fuel price hikes, global inflation, and a continent on edge. Those who think that short wars work and prevent years of struggle. What about India and Pakistan? Decades of conflicts, thousands of lives lost, and billions spent. Yet the core issue remains exactly where it started. War did not solve it. Dialogue is the only thing that has ever moved it and each forward. Take Kargil as an example. India had no choice but to strike back, and that saved our sovereignty. But force is not the same as war. This is the exact reason why we have armed forces. Now, those who think what about those countries who survived only because of war? Yes, nobody is disagreeing with the fact that there have been times in history where war was unavoidable. But survival through war is not the same as solution to war. War at best can provide a short-term peace, silence, but it will never solve the actual disagreement behind the fight. It will just declare who won or lost for now or provide us with a temporary relief. So no, war is not a solution to geopolitical tensions, though it may sometimes be necessary, not as a solution, but as an admission that you failed to find one. Thank you.
We all say Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat and Ek Bharat being a Viksit Bharat. But is Bharat truly Shresth and is it truly Viksit? Well, today I am here to answer that. Over the past 80 years, we've been hearing people constantly say that India is still a developing country and India is not a developed country. Why is this the case? The answer to this question lies in the question itself. We still haven't figured out a proper solution to brain drain in our country. Brain drain refers to the emigration of skilled people from one place to another in search of better job opportunities, better quality of life, and better healthcare facilities. They do so because they lack proper opportunities in our country. The people who stay back in our country call them as betrayers and as desdrohis. But I do not understand what mistake they have committed. In fact, we are the ones that are wrong because in today's world that every man is for himself, we are busy criticizing them rather than focusing on the development of our nation. The solution to brain drain lies in fixing the domestic system rather than subjugating the human rights of these people in terms of patriotism and in terms of Desh Bhakti. Around 9.79 lakh people have emigrated from our country in search of better job opportunities. Isn't it pathetic that the Indian government can't provide the same job opportunities and the same quality of life in our country? Small countries like Poland itself have benefited so much through these schemes by investing in their quality of life, by investing in their healthcare facilities, by investing in their infrastructure, etc. I don't understand why we being the most populous country, why we being the most minimally stable country and why we being the most linguistically diverse country can develop on such a large scale by adopting this policy. It's time we show Donald Trump that our economies are not dead, but they're just dormant, waiting to erupt any moment. And once it does, boom, we'll show our true potential and we'll show India's true potential. It's time India becomes a developed country and Bharat becomes a Viksit Bharat. Bola Bharat Mata ki jai.
Not lose its people when they leave, but when it fails to give them a reason to stay. Good morning, respected teachers, judges, and my dear friends. My name is Dhulipati Sri Tanvi, and I am studying in grade 10A. The solution to brain drain lies in fixing domestic systems, not in restricting immigration. Brain drain happens when our brightest minds feel that their ambitions cannot be fulfilled at home, and trapping them is not the solution. Forcing them to stay by restricting immigration is like imposing another lockdown, only this time on dreams. We live in a place where people can't stand being confined in a room for more than a week. So why would they give up better job opportunities, higher salaries, and a chance to grow abroad just because the government decided to clip their wings? Restricting immigration is like putting a band-aid on a deep wound, waiting for the problem to solve itself. This limits freedom, damages our international image, and traps people in systems that fail to nurture them. The true and lasting cure lies in fixing these domestic systems. Competitive salaries that are on par with global standards, merit-based promotions that ensure that hard work and talent are genuinely awarded,
world-class infrastructure in transportation, health, and education. Strong support for startups that not only increase the employee base but also turn young creators into innovators and leaders. Yes, these reforms may take time to show results, but it is far more safer, far more sustainable, and better in the long run, creating conditions in which talent chooses to stay and even returns from abroad. The solution is clear: build a nation worth living in. Fix the system and brain drain will turn into brain gain. Thank you.